Just the other day, I heard Tim Tebow speak, and it was super powerful, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm going to share the same story with you that he told me that I think will be very impactful in your lives. And what it does is just put things into perspective for you. Because Tim was sharing this story how he went to the Philippines, and when he got there, he went to this village. This village has never seen outsiders before, so they were super excited, jumping on him. Everybody that was there. They weren't just excited to see Tim; they were excited to see all of the Americans because they just have never seen outsiders before, and they were just tugging on him and just super excited, touching their skin and just excited. So every single person there was just wanting to be around it. So Tim started to speak, and they were huddled up really close to him. Like he could put his arm out, and he could touch 7 rows deep. That's how close they were to him. But in the corner of his eye, he saw these 3 kids turned and walked away from the situation. And Tim noticed them. And the entire time he was speaking, he said he could not stop thinking about why these 3 kids walked away. Like, why is everybody else so intrigued and listening to me sharing the gospel of my story, but these 3 kids turned and walked away? So afterwards, he went to go find these kids. He was searching, couldn't find them, and finally he found one of them. And one of the kids dragged him and pulled him to the other 2. They had to duck underneath to get into this hut, and inside this hut was the 2 other kids. And one of the kids had his feet on backwards. He was born with his feet on backwards. And Tim asked him, he said, "Hey, like, why did you guys walk away when when I was talking to everybody?" And he said, "Well, our village wanted everything to be perfect. They wanted everything to be flawless, and they said that I was far from flawless. So they said that I wasn't welcome and that I would not be able to be part of the situation when you were speaking." So they essentially said that they were not welcomed by their village just because they felt like this one kid had a disability. And so they kept talking about the gospel, and they kept talking about Tim's story, and then Tim was sharing love and was just sharing compassion. And afterwards, there was tears, and the guy with his feet on backwards asked, "Hey Tim, can you carry me out of here?" And not thinking that he would, Tim said, "Okay, yeah." He picked him up, carried him out of there, and as he ducked underneath with this kid in his arms, the whole village was out there, and they saw him. And instantly, as Tim popped his head up with his kid in his arms, the village said, and they looked back, and they were all shocked that Tim was holding this kid. So as Tim would take a step closer and walk, everybody would back up. And as Tim would take another step closer, everybody would back up. And they were like, and Tim was kind of confused, like, why are they kept like walking away from us? And I guess to come find out that the village thought that this kid was cursed. And they thought that anybody that would touch this kid would be cursed as well. And so nobody wanted anything to do with him whatsoever. So here you have this kid with his feet born on backwards. He can't walk on his own, and the village wants nothing to do with him. A positive note to end the story on a positive note. Tim kept walking, and as he kept walking forward, people became a little bit more accustomed to it, and the elders finally would touch him and say, "You are welcomed." Another elder would come up and say, "You are welcomed." And eventually, the whole village finally welcomed this kid. But to think that this entire time, this kid was born with his feet on backward, his peers, his elders thought he was cursed, wanted nothing to do with him, wasn't loved by anybody, and then here we are in America complaining and stressed, and here we are chasing fame, money, desire, like we're chasing success, and we're stressed because somebody said something to us, or we're stressed because we need to get something done. But here we are with a roof over our head, food, health, like we have all of these things, that we have blessings, and we're complaining about the smallest things. But prospectively, like, we have the entire world in our hands. We've been blessed with so many blessings. So for me, it was just like an eye opener, right? Because I kind of went into that speech a little stressed. I was stressed about work. I had a lot of things on my mind, and I left there just thinking like, wow, like, I am blessed, and I am so grateful for what I've been given. There's no need for me to be stressed about the smallest things. Those small things are just so small in compared to what is out there for the rest of the world. So I just kind of hope this story kind of puts things in perspective for you. Like right now, are you stressed? Are you worried? Like, do you feel overwhelmed and have anxiety? Are you complaining about small things, but at the same time you have roof over your head, food in your stomach, people that love you, right? And just think about those other two kids, the kids that were his friends, right? He had two friends only that actually cared about him. How do you think those two kids felt? They were shunned by the village as well because they weren't allowed to be around him and the village at the same time, right? Imagine the peer pressure that they could have fallen into to just turn away and go to the rest of the village and leave his friend behind. But for them to be their own person and say, no, like, this is my friend and I'm going to stand by him regardless, that takes a special person. So who are you today? Are you somebody that is stressed and overwhelmed and you feel like, you're chasing all of these things and it's making it harder on you? If it is, I want you to look at this story and have a reality check, because perspective is the number one thing that can change everything for you. If you realize how blessed you are and how much amazing things you have, I promise you will be happier. You will then reach more success, because success ultimately can lead to happiness. Happiness can lead to success. Those two things can correlate a lot of the times if you use them in the right context. So I really hope that this helped. I know for me it did. Sitting there listening to Tim, it really had an emotional impact on me, and I hope it did the same thing for you. And once again, I look forward to speaking with you. Comment below on if this made an impact for you. And I look forward to speaking with you guys always, always so blessed to have this conversation with you guys. Thanks again for listening, taking the time out of your day for listening to the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds of this talk. Have a great day and talk to y'all soon. Bye.